Commissioner Lyman's going to lead us with an opening prayer, and then I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for all the many blessings that Thou hast given us, and we're so thankful for this beautiful day and for this country that we live in and for this county and area in which we enjoy so much. We ask Thee to continue to bless us and help us in this area, that we will grow and prosper, and please help us during this meeting that we will be able to work together and have an open mind, and that we'll be able to do what's best for the county. And we appreciate all of the residents and all the employees and all that they do for us, and for the moisture that we have received. And we ask Thee to bless us with more, so that we will be able to fulfill our needs. And we're so thankful for everything. And please bless this country and its leaders. And these blessings we ask and hope for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any changes to the minutes from last meeting?
I didn't see any.
I didn't have none, no.
Okay.
I'm good. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from August 19th, 2025.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion and possible approval for the indigent burial of Daniel Fisher. Bonnie's not.
She had it down around her desk.
Yeah, I looked at it, she does have it. It's 1,758.
So it's been 1,700
Yeah, it's
or something like
1758 or
that. It's
something.
been the same for, so I'd go ahead and move that we approve the indigent burial for Daniel Fisher.
I'll
I don't
second that.
suspect there's anything different about it.
No.
It's a standard rate, I think.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion and possible approval of business license for Alpha Windshields LLC, owner Colin Christensen.
It's okay.
We already
We
did
already
that.
approved it. Thanks for the hustle, Jacob. UTV Manufacturing Windshield Company.
Looks like they've got all the signatures. I'll make a motion that we approve the business license for Alpha Windshields LLC.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So is this, do we have a different fee for business license for big or small? Is it all the same?
We have a flat rate.
We have a flat rate, that's on? Okay, that's what I thought, because lots of times business license are appropriated on your gross sales and stuff like that, but we don't do that. That's, I think I've asked that question before, making sure. Thank you.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of the FY 2026 Predator Control Contract.
Bonnie, did we ever get straight, we had this discussion last year, can you remember works? Sure. We spent quite a bit of time on it last year, and I've forgotten. But why don't you explain that, so we know what we're doing?
This is an agreement with government. Yeah, like over, I
We
think,
just can't figure out what we
30
agreed to.
years. But different counties run it a little bit differently is what I found out. But basically, the Sheep Growers Association, the farmers can put in a contribution and the state, this grant matches it, so then they get that much more predator control and they pull it together for like aerial control services.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a copy of it yet, but it's usually pretty much the same every year.
Been the
So,
same.
The only difference is the amount, it looks like, this year.
how much is it?
So last year, the total was 5,400, so the county this year it's 21,400, and the county's portion is 10,700.
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
I double checked on that, Commissioner Wright, because I know you like to know what it was the year before.
I do like to know what it was. Else how do I make a comparison?
Yeah.
So I would move that we approve the, if there's no more discussion, the predator control contract.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So for this USDA road agreement, will you just move past it for a minute? I'm waiting to hear back from Brandon Wingate.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it right here. Okay, the monthly financial review.
So we met last Thursday to go over all the finances for July. One thing that Commissioner Johnson wanted to bring up and just make sure it's on the record, and I had a conversation separately with Commissioner Lyman, was the road department budget. It's at 79.28% used as of today. It's because of the oil projects that he kept going. So we're going to need to amend the budget. The revenue we anticipated is a little off because the point of sale, county option sales tax, fuel taxes dropped significantly. We're only at like 40% of what, a little less than 40% of what we anticipated collecting. But then again, we anticipate more in the allocations. So we're going to have to offset a little bit for that loss of revenue for point of sales fuel tax. The allocation is determined differently. It has a factor in it for mileage of roads and not just local sales.
So, explain to me, county option sales tax, I thought the road department budget was strictly fuel taxes?
Yeah, it's
So
fuel.
does the okay, you mentioned the county option, that,
Yeah, it's like,
so what you meant is the fuel tax? is
Yes.
what- Okay. 'cause
County option fuel
It's not
only.
a county option, we don't opt in or out, we basically get the fuel tax, correct? Okay.
well, we opted in a while back for the
Yeah, but we
additional
don't,
fuel.
none of that goes to roads, does it?
The fuel tax does,
Well, the fuel tax.
yes.
Did
Yeah.
it,
So
when
there's-
we opt in, does it increase the fuel tax then also?
So we
thought
have,
that went to
we have three types of revenue. We have the allocation, that's fuel tax, but it's also, it's a kind of a complex formula based on mileage of
Yeah,
roads, and you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So that's the allocation. Then the county opted in for additional fuel tax, probably 5 or more years ago.
Thing I thought that opt-in was for taxes to go to general fund and didn't affect fuel, that's where I was.
Yeah, there's a couple of
But
opt-in.
it did affect fuel tax,
Yes.
plus other taxes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the other one is the rural, we call RTIF, Rural Transportation Infrastructure. It's a one-time for rural counties, and I think Brandon only budgeted like 100 and, what did he say, 150? But we got like 830, but it's kind of offsetting what we were anticipating on the fuel. So the sales tax point of sale.
So
We
when you
just need to
talk,
be extra careful over the last quarter of the year with
Yeah.
our spending in the road
So,
department.
yeah, we just want it on the record. I mean, really, to function, just wages and benefits alone, it's $1 million for the end of the year, and we have 1.4 left, so it's only 400,000 to run. So I don't see that being sufficient, so I think we're gonna have to open it, but I think he wanted to wait until October, but it's really the board's decision when we open the budget.
Yeah, when he thinks we'll be okay, but he wanted a little longer to just make sure and look over everything.
when we open it, we'll just open it to move that money within the budget.
Yeah, we'll increase the.
There's some other areas we can move it from.
Yeah, we anticipate a minimum of another 400,000 on allocation.
Okay.
It's hard to know what it's going to be, based on sales. I've talked to the UDOT, they're the ones that distribute it, and, they couldn't really give me a good answer other than look at an average, right? And so if we looked at averages, I mean, we thought a conservative amount to increase the budget was another 400,000.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as the treasurer's side, it was just a nice, smooth, quiet month. Nothing really
Okay.
to speak of.
I think that's all right.
Yep. Do you guys have any preference on when we open the budget? Is it other things that,
Do you have other things coming up soon?
yeah,
that we
there's a
need to
few
open
other
for?
things. Like, if there's other grants that we need to adjust for,
Meeting in October?
we could do that. I mean, we always open it up in December anyway.
Well, I'm fine waiting for as long as we need it.
But we might need, I'm thinking we'll probably need to open it sooner,
Okay,
but we could shoot for October.
okay.
So,
Well, maybe get us a list and see if we
Okay.
don't have to open it every week or better off.
yeah, we've done really good this
There's a
year.
lot of things we can get to the end and open at one time and
Yeah.
fix them.
Yeah, we just don't want to take away the public's right for input.
Yeah.
And do it after it's already.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Bunny.
Okay. Discussion and possible ratification of the U.S. Forest Service Grant Agreement modification. Do you have this, Marquis?
This is one that you had signed a while back, but there's a subdivision,
Is this the same one we've always had?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the only change is it increased the financial responsibility $5,000, is that? It should say right there on the front.
So their financial responsibility or ours?
Yours, the county's.
Okay.
And that should be the only change.
So Lisa, if you want, explain to us exactly,
You're just agreeing to the additional, and I'm pretty sure it's $5,000. I'm just trying to find it again. Give me.
it's right on the front there, but,
Change
yeah, it's right on the front there.
Obligations by $5,000. That's the only change for this grant. So the county's just agreeing to that.
And what do we have to do for that? What's our responsibility?
Your responsibility is the money. I believe it's the Forest Service who's providing benefits to the county.
We've been doing some road work for them.
Yeah, we do road work and we do some campground stuff at times and a variety of other stuff like that.
Okay, I was dead wrong.
Okay, talk
This
into your
is-
mic, please.
This is for the sheriff's office participating in patrolling activities, and they are increasing it by $5,000 for the work the sheriff's office is doing, because part of their patrol occurs in certain campgrounds and along certain Forest Service roads.
So they're increasing their responsibility 5,000? to go
Based on the sheriff's office's work.
To go to the sheriff's office, okay, I'm more clear now. Do you have to sign that, or?
We agreed to it back
Okay.
in May.
Okay, we're just going over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll entertain a motion to ratify that agreement.
I'll make a motion to ratify the agreement with the U.S. Forest Service grant amendment. Is that the one we're on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, he didn't have concerns, he said to move forward.
Okay, we'll jump back to it real quick then. Discussion and possible approval of the USDA road agreement. That's the one you just sent and gave to me, Marquis.
Do you not have it?
It's this one, you sent it to me.
Is that
Get
one
to
you
me.
give to him? You want to explain what that is?
So if you have a copy of it, the last 2 pages are the schedule where it lays out all the roads at issue, and it designates responsibilities for who's maintaining what roads. I talked through that with Brandon, and the roads they've designated, it sounds like, are the roads the road department has been maintaining. His only concern that he was following up on is, at the beginning of this agreement, it's about an intention to cooperate and meeting annually and deciding what maintenance projects needed to be completed. And he said historically, all the county's done is surfacing. They haven't ever oiled roads or done anything like that. But he's not concerned because this agreement also references entering into future agreements. So if they want anything beyond what's been done, that'll come back and we'll have to take a look at it and see if that's
Before
an
we can-
appropriate project.
So what roads do we have that USDA is involved in?
If you look at the last 2
'Cause,
pages.
you know, we have a lot of county and Sitla and state roads, but
Right, I mean, some of these roads range in lengths from 0.2 of a mile to almost 40
would that
miles.
be through Forest Service or something? or-
Yes,
So these roads would be on Forest Service?
yeah,
So to get USDA, they'd have to be Forest Service roads. They wouldn't be any county or state roads or, okay. Then it has them listed here.
yes.
Looks like we got about
It's 20 or so.
probably 70 or 80 miles of those roads. Some of them's just very small portions. Okay.
They've done a great job up on Corn Creek and Chalk Creek, I know, taking care of those.
Well, it looks like most of these are like in Maple Hollow, Maple Grove, basically camping spots.
Going up that
places
road there.
Like that, that's what it is. Okay.
Want to look at it real quick? The list.
So at least there's no change, except we're supposed to meet and talk about it every year?
Yeah, and it's a 5-year term agreement, so
Okay.
this particular agreement won't come back until 2030.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the USDA road agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion and possible approval of memorandum of understanding between Fillmore City and Millard County regarding maintenance of Dry Creek and Pine Creek debris basins.
So my understanding is this just memorializes what an agreement was at a at a past meeting between city and county when the parties were discussing that NRCS funding. This just says that Fillmore is going to be responsible for Dry Creek and Millard County is going to be responsible for Pine Creek. And then it just lays out that the city will assist in the event of emergencies at some of the improvements that took place within Fillmore city limits.
And what this does, when we had the flood, or supposedly when we had a fire, we built 2 debris basins, and so this designates that the city's responsible for one. We find that if them get full and you don't clean them, they really don't work, so. It does take some maintenance. We have built them before and never maintained them. And we got some NRCS money on this project and government money, and that was within generally Fillmore City and Chalk Creek and that. So basically, the city has a responsibility to maintain the improvements there. So Police reminded me, we talked about this before, and we'd met with Brandon, and I think it's a good agreement, it gives us some direction forward.
And it is also on the Fillmore City Council meeting agenda tonight, so.
I would move that.
As far as you know, Dennis, is everybody good with it?
It was presented last meeting in its rough form like you just did. There was no hiccups with it. So pending any concern by the attorney, it will be ratified tonight.
Okay.
I'd move we approve the memorandum of understanding between Fillmore and the county regarding maintenance of Dry Creek and Pine Creek basins.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
You take this one back? Where's this?
Yeah, we could get that copy to Fillmore City and then get copies made. Or if you guys want to sign a separate copy, then we can just put them together. Either way.
You sign separate copies, I claim you never signed it, so it's not binding.
Okay, well, then I'll give this to Peyton to take to the meeting.
You're always thinking, aren't you, Dennis?
Not very well.
Okay. Discussion and possible approval of cooperative fire system.
Copeland Anderson stopped me before the meeting and he apologized, but he had to leave. He asked that no action be taken on this. He anticipated potentially some changes, and it almost sounded like the next legislative session. But he said he would reach back out to the clerks when he thought this would be more finalized.
Okay.
Okay. Discussion and possible participation agreement for the national opioid settlement with Purdue and certain of its affiliates and the Sackler family.
I am actually just waiting to hear back from one person at UAC. The first item, its opt-in participation due date is September 30th. The second one, I think, is October 8th. So I would just ask that we move this just to the very next meeting for
Okay.
action.
Is that going to be for both of those items?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, update on North County economic development efforts. I haven't seen Abby come in. Maybe she'll be coming here in a little bit, so maybe we'll have to come back to that one. Okay, discussion and possible approval for fiscal year 2026 rural county grant funds.
That's also Abby.
That's Abby as well. Okay, we'll see if she comes around 10:40 and come back to him.
We can
Okay.
report on that if you want, but wait and see if she comes.
Yeah, she comes. Audit report on state inmates and out-of-county transfers.
Cody.
Can I plug in? Can we get that on the TV by chance? Marky's got it.
And if you would just state your name and where you're
Sure.
from with the audio.
You bet. Cody Dieter, I'm with EFG Consulting, and I live in Tooele County.
And what was your name again?
Cody Dieter, Deeter. I appreciate being with the commission today. My scope services was to do an analysis on both the jail and the EMS services, and have worked with county staff and the sheriff and his capable associates, and appreciate everyone's ability to and willingness to share information. So as I present this, please feel free, if you have questions, to ask me as we go. I won't be offended in the least if you have questions along the way. So I'll start with the jail analysis. The purpose of this analysis was to answer these two questions. What is the financial impact to the jail due to housing state inmates? Or said in a different way, how would the jail budget be impacted by housing only county inmates instead of the state inmates as well? The methodology that I utilized or my team utilized to do this analysis was to start with the inmate population, both county and state, and then to look at how much revenue is generated to the county from the state, from housing the state inmates. Then look at the overall operating budget for the jail, personnel, capital, all of the components that go into housing and taking care of inmates. And then fourth, looking at the general fund allocation, how much is appropriated by this board, this body, to the jail to fill the rest of the operating budget. And then look at various scenarios. What happens if we pull out the state inmates? What happens if we keep them? So here are the three analyses, three scenarios. The first is status quo. What happens if we keep doing what we're doing, which is to house both state and county inmates? The second is if we have county inmates only and we no longer house state inmates. And then the third was to look at a break-even analysis of where the budget would need to go what reductions would need to be made to balance the budget county appropriation from the general fund. This is a summary of the inmate population over time. As you can see, this is for 4.5 years. We're not all the way through 2025. The blue represents county inmates, and the orange represents state inmates, and the green line on the top is total. So more state inmates than county inmates. 2025, that's different. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but we only have partial data for 2025. But the historic trend is more state inmates than county. This is as a percentage basis, rather than the last was gross numbers. So it's about a 60-40 mix if you take the last 4 years. 60% from the state and 40% from the county. Staffing analysis is really the critical component of this analysis. When you think about how much staff you need to cover the jail, so if you look at the top number there, 168 hours, that's how many hours there are in a week, and you have to have someone there all of the time. So if you have just one person at the jail, that would require 4.2 full-time equivalents just to have one person there all of the time at 40 hours. To have double coverage, you would need 8, a little 8.5, and to have triple coverage, you'd need 12.5, so almost 13. So in option 1, that we'll go through the scenario analysis, but in option 1 at 15, so you have a little more than triple coverage. In option 2, you'd have 13, and in option 3, you'd have 8. So we'll describe that in more detail here shortly. So here's the total. It's a little bit small, but here's all of the jail staff that you have currently, from the jail lieutenant, 2 sergeants. You have 4 day shift floor deputies, 2 day cover shifts, 2 afternoon cover shifts, and 4 night shifts. And then below this line here are those who don't necessarily provide coverage. They're not certified officers. You have court security, inmate work conservation corps individuals. So that's when you send inmates out to do work in the county. You have 2 people supervising them. And you have kitchen supervisor and assistant kitchen supervisor who are helping meals. So 15, again, is the current number of certified jail staff. Under the various scenarios, you'd have either 13 or 8. So you'd have to cut your staff pretty dramatically in order to have break even under having no state inmates and making the budget balance. So scenario 1, this is the expense breakdown. 81% of the cost of the jail is salaries and benefits. That's by far the largest expenditure. And then others are a small amount of supplies, medical, food, equipment, education, and treatment. So by far, the largest expense is personnel, which probably isn't surprising. In terms of revenue, again, this is the status quo scenario, doing what you're currently doing. 42% of your income is coming from the state, and 51% is coming from the general fund. Then you have a small amount from commissary, from the benefit of workers, of jail staff working, sorry, not inmates working on behalf of other portions of the county, which I called a transfer in, just a way to offset the general fund expenditure. So looking at it over a long period of time, your expenditures are going to basically stay the same proportion over time, salaries and benefits being the largest. And under scenario 1 revenues, you can see that allocation between the general fund subsidy and the inmate contract, state inmate contract, kind of staying the same proportionality. Scenario 1, key metrics to look at: certified jail staff, there's 15, a total of 22 in the jail, including the other positions we talked about. And so then the thing that I thought would be a helpful metric is looking at how much of that is that general fund subsidy over this whole period of time from 25 to 2034. So it's this big green chunk. How much is that revenue? And that's 15.8 million that you're allocating to the jail.
And in that, your assumption, the state contribution will be the same?
Yes, that's correct.
Which it could increase,
It could increase.
but we don't know.
Well, we don't know. That's,
Every few years, it does increase.
yes, that's true. It could do that.
So it might help that a little bit.
It could. That's correct.
If we get an increase, so.
Yes.
We
Agreed.
probably won't, generally, they don't go that long without some increase.
Yes, that's true.
There might be some. So what is the per state contribution now per inmate? Can you remember?
I can pull it up. I'll tell you that.
Is it 70 or 90? Sheriff's back there.
If he knows it off the top of his head, he can tell us.
Somebody, you guys probably know off the top of your head.
Right now, it's 87.
Okay, all right, I thought it was.
In the budget, it's 90. Yeah, $90.
90, okay.
That's what
I thought it
we're,
was somewhere right there.
all right, scenario 2, the expenses don't change in scenario 2 very much from a proportionality standpoint. Again, scenario 2 is county inmates only. You still have 78 or almost 80% of benefits. We're only cutting down a couple of staff. So it's still driven primarily by salaries and benefits. The revenue, of course, changes dramatically. It's basically all from the county coffers, from the general fund, a small amount from commissary. This is the chart that I think makes the big difference. You can see that the state inmate goes away, and you still have to fill that with the general fund. So key metrics here: 13 certified jail staff, so you really don't change much. You only can take maybe 2, maybe 3 staff out of the jail, simply because you have to have someone there all the time. So
Don't change enough to balance the budget.
no, not at all. And so that allocation from the general fund goes to 25 million, so significantly higher. And then under scenario 3, what I'm attempting to do here is to say, well, how much would we have to trim the budget in order to break even and not have to subsidize at a higher amount? And, you're going to have to trim, this is where your expenditures, you're going to have to trim almost half of the jail staff. So you would go from, 15 to 8 certified jail staff, which is double coverage only. You only have 2 people at the jail at any given time. And you'd have to cut the rest of the jail staff too, so you'd have to get rid of, I'll go back to this chart here, which would be helpful to, now that we have some context. You'd have to get rid of a jail sergeant, you'd have to get rid of 2 daytime staff, a cover shift, day cover shift, an afternoon cover shift, and 2 night floor deputies. And you'd have to get rid of one of your court security. You're already getting rid of the inmate work supervisors, which makes sense, and then you'd have to get rid of assistant kitchen supervisor and the jail nurse. So you really have 1 person cooking. It's just too much. It would be dangerous for you to really do that. But that's what you would need to break even. And even under that scenario, you don't quite break even. You're still, rather than 15 million from the general fund, you're at 17. So you'd even have to cut more than that, really, to make it work. So the summary really here is, you'd have to, here's the summary, 15 million currently. If you got rid of them and kept at a safe operating level, you'd be paying 10 million more over the next 10 years. And if you're trying to break even, you'd really have to even go below 8 of staff, which would be, I think, dangerous to do that. So the conclusions here are that state inmates are subsidizing the jail operations, and eliminating state inmates would require unsafe cuts to jail staffing. So any questions I can answer about this analysis? Okay.
It's good. Gives us a good feel of where we're at.
Information. Okay, let's talk now about the EMS analysis, a similar type of analysis. The purpose is similar questions here. What is the financial impact to the ambulance fund, which is an enterprise fund, due to interfacility transfers? Or stating it in a different way, how would the ambulance budget be impacted by only serving what I call the 911 ambulance calls? So just when someone picks up the phone and says, I have an emergency, that's the only time you're using the ambulance. You're doing no interfacility transfers. So methodology, we looked at the mileage traveled between the 911 calls and the interfacility calls. So broke those into 2 pieces. All of your ambulance calls for the last couple of years, which were inter-county, interfacility, and which were just 911. Then looked at the collection rate and the revenue generation. So how much are we collecting for 911? How much are we collecting for interfacility transfers? Not just what we're charging, but how much are we actually collecting? The third piece of the methodology, operating budget based upon fixed and variable costs. So we looked at all of your expenses in the ambulance fund and said, what proportion of each of those line items are fixed? Meaning we have to pay those regardless of if we have 1 call or a million calls, and how much of those are variable. So, we're paying staff based on when they get called out. What's the proportionality between those 2? Because that will tell us the expense per mile. Then the 4th piece is grants and capital projects. What grants are coming in and what capital projects do we have? Primarily rolling stock, how do we pay for that in the future? And then again, looking at various scenarios. So the 2 scenarios that I ran here are, number 1, the status quo. We continue to do what we're doing, both 911 calls and interfacility transfers. And the second, what if we do only 911 ambulance calls? We stop doing interfacility trips. So this chart shows the variable expenditures per mile. So we take all of those variable expenditures, we divide them by the miles traveled versus how much revenue is generated per mile. So this orange represents, for the last 4.5 years, the variable cost per mile. So it's costing, in 2021, about $25 every time you drive a mile with your ambulance. Doesn't matter what type of call it is. That's the expense. It's going up a little bit. In 2024, we're now at $30. In 2025, we're only halfway through the year, so I think that's just there for a memo purpose. But you're about $30 of variable cost per mile. Then when you look at how much you're generating in revenue per mile, For interfacility transfers, you're below, and for 911 revenue, you're above. And that's consistent over time. And in so many ways, this is the whole heart of the analysis, right? You're paying, the interfacility transfers are being subsidized by your 911 calls. Because the variable cost is at $30, you're getting almost 50 for 911 calls, and you're getting paid 20 for interfacility calls. There's a lot of information here.
On this, are you also considering what we pay for them wearing pagers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so that is that's a fixed cost, so 25% of the wage and benefits line item is considered fixed, and 75% is considered just when they're driving. Yep, that's a very good question.
Okay, thanks.
So again, a lot of information here. I don't expect you to absorb all of it. I do want to show you that the collection rate, I was pretty surprised how low the collection rate is for both calls. You're at 43, 45, 44%, regardless of an interfacility
Is that
transfer.
average with the two?
Yeah, average of the two. So very, very low. So if you're charging a dollar, you're only getting 43 cents back from actual collections, which is really low. So even though you're charging more, you're only collecting, so maybe you're charging 50 cents for a interfacility, or $50 per mile, but you're only collecting 21. So it's a big problem.
Have you been able to is that individuals, or is that insurances, or who would be responsible?
I would assume that you're billing insurance.
What's
My
that?
understanding is
These
that
are all insurances?
Yeah, you're billing their insurance, and then the
Some of
insurance
these people, though, aren't insured, and so we end up not collecting off of a lot of those that are
That's
uninsured.
probably true. Yeah. The interfacility transfer is where I was very surprised. They're already in a hospital, and you're billing their insurance for their ambulance call, and you're not able to collect all of it. I understand on the 911, because there's also state code that only allows you to charge for certain items, which is a problem. You have expenses that are uncovered just because state law doesn't allow you to collect for certain portions of what you're actually spending. But the interfacility, I don't think that's governed by the same rules, and it's a very low collection rate.
It's covered by the exact same
Oh,
rules.
there you go.
We bill the exact same way.
Gotcha.
That was my question. So these amounts we have here, that's not like the actual cost to the sheriff's office. That's the rate that's been set by state, and Millard County is only collecting 50% of the rates that are set by the state, essentially, like half.
National collection rate for EMS is 35%. So we're well above the national collection rate. The thing that's a little bit tricky right now is they just introduced that new bill.
But the state does set the maximum.
They set
They set a maximum rate,
The
yes.
maximum, different insurances might be, but.
Yeah, they set a
The state does give
maximum.
us a maximum.
And we've always charged the maximum allowable by the state rules for mileage and for our base rate. Right now, Utah just passed another bill, it is in May, it went into effect, that we can no longer bill for any supplies that we use. We can only bill for medications, and the insurance companies are supposed to pay 100% of our base rate and our mileage rate, now according to the state bill. The problem is how do we get the insurance companies to comply with that? There's a cleanup bill in the works, able to mandate that and keep them to that agreement. When that happens, I think we'll see quite a bit more revenue coming in. But yeah, nationwide, EMS is just collecting 35%. And that's due to insurance, contractual write-offs, bad debt, you name it. I don't know if that helps or not.
With the insurance increasing so much, you'd think they'd be willing to pay this.
Right. right? Yeah.
You would think.
You would think. And the thing that we're just not sure about is prior, apparently, insurances were not paying for supplies, but we didn't see that through our billing agency as much. So we don't know how much this is going to increase or decrease what our revenue is at this point. So we're hopeful, we're really hopeful that it'll increase and go up, but, and like I said, you'll see some more cleanup bills coming out this next session in regards to this.
Excellent, thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You live and breathe this every day, so I just stole all of her knowledge and put it on a spreadsheet. All right, from the expense breakdown, I think this is just helpful to review. Most of the expenses, personnel, equipment and capital is 21. Medical supplies, 3, professional technical, admin, that's what the general fund charges to the ambulance fund, and then vehicle O&M. So again, most of it is personnel. Revenue, 50% from interfacilities, 41% from 911 calls. You do have some interest earned because you do have a fund balance, and you do get 6% from grants, which is helpful. There's a look at your expenditures going forward under scenario 1, status quo, and a look at revenues split between the two. The light is the 911 calls, and the darker is interfacility revenue. Fund balance, you have a very healthy fund balance. A benchmark that many in the industry's enterprise funds use is 1 year's worth of operating expenditures as a fund balance measure. So you have a healthy fund balance there, which will grow over time, but will kind of meet. This was totally coincidental that it met. Under scenario 2, where we have only 911 ambulance calls and no interfacilities, the equipment really stays, and capital stays roughly the same. You still have the same costs to replace capital, but your personnel goes down quite a bit as a percentage basis because you're not running as many trips. And revenue is very different. Obviously, it's all coming from 911 calls, 87% of it. Here's a very dramatic view of what happens to your expenditures when you only do half the calls, roughly. Your personnel expense goes down quite a bit, but your capital stays roughly the same. Revenues go way down.
So does this calculate the amount of miles that we will not be putting on the
Yes.
ambulances?
That's right.
And how that could, over time, save us from having to purchase ambulances as often as we are, because now we
Yes.
can make them last longer?
Yeah, that was part of the analysis. Working with Lindsay, 150,000 is roughly when you replace an ambulance, but from her perspective, you're probably going to reach the end of the useful life of the asset, meaning it's not as, it's no longer new enough before you get to 150,000 miles, under both scenarios.
Okay.
So they just get old and antiquated, and it's cheaper to replace that than to.
So either way, we need to renew the ambulances.
Yes, but in this analysis, it was beyond 10 years, from a mileage standpoint, from a, when is their useful life used up? I don't have a good metric for that, and it's probably 10 years, but it could be sooner, but under both scenarios, you didn't put enough miles on them to get to that threshold just from putting miles on the vehicles. So they should last that long, assuming that we can keep updating them, but maybe at 10 years, you'd have to replace some of them, some of the older ones. Yeah.
So, but they should last 10 years, though, based on...
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
But so in this case, your fund balance metric goes down, fund balance, but it's because you're not having to reserve as much. So it is up a little bit. So these two analyses, two scenarios, don't have a dramatic, it felt pretty clear on the jail side, like clearly you're being subsidized by state inmates. Here, your fund balance is a good metric. It's pretty healthy in both cases. Interfacilities appear to be being subsidized by 9/11 calls when you look at it from a fixed and variable standpoint. So you could go either way. Here's the rolling stock analysis that we were talking about before, that you don't ever reach more than 150,000. So I forgot about that. But here's the conclusions that I think are, your fund balance is better with interfacility transfers. No capital replacement within 10 years, although, like I said before, you may need to do that through age replacement. Interfacility transfers, revenue per mile are below the variable cost, so it's costing you more to do interfacility transfers. And here's the recommendations. These are, I think, are things you should chew on. I don't know how deep you want to go into each of these. This is just from you hired me to do an analysis. This is what I thought made sense to me. Option 1, contract directly with the hospital, and the hospital pays you, the variable rate per mile of $30 per mile plus capital replacement of $5, so they pay you $35 per mile. Then it's their job to bill the insurance. Right? You just say, this is what it costs us. We don't have to do this interfacility thing. You guys could do it. You could hire a third-party ambulance provider to do it. But if we're going to do it, we need to at least cover our costs and our capital replacement at $35 per mile. Then they can bill the insurance and let that be their headache of only collecting 40% or 43%. That's one option. Option 2 is same as now. Just keep doing what you're doing, but bill hospitals separately for the difference between what you're actually collecting from them, from insurance, and what it's costing you. So just say, yeah, we'll keep doing what we're doing, we'll bill the insurance, but you need to provide us $15 per mile so that we're at least covering our cost and not subsidizing it from the general fund. Because, that's unhealthy to be subsidizing something that's optional for you. And of course, the third is just to say, we're not going to do it anymore. You guys can figure it out on your own. We're not going to provide ambulance services for interfacility transfers. You can find somebody else to do that for you. So those are the 3 options that I suggest, or recommendations, and happy to answer any other questions you have.
I personally appreciate this because I think this is exactly what I was looking for when we started this several months ago, is to see where we were at. I know specifically it started with the jail, and then EMS kind of evolved into it. So I appreciate the time you've taken to put this together for us, and also the Sheriff's Department for providing all the information needed for you to complete this. So it's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, thank you, Cody. I think at this point in time, we have some decisions to make. I guess I see a representative from the hospital. What I would like to do is be able to take this for everybody to digest it and see maybe if IHC wants, I don't expect any today, okay? It's a lot of information, and let the hospital take time to maybe digest it, and if they want to get back with us, fine. I think we have some good options here. In my personal opinion, we don't want to continue to do what we're doing, to continue to work with the hospital, provide those transfers, but we're going to have to work out a way that we can have some compensation or to make it whole with us. I would hope that we don't have to get to option 3, but I think that might be a good option for us if no one else wants to participate. So, but I would like to, Cody, I'm sure you can get this to Kurt, the hospital.
Absolutely.
Have them digest it, and if they want, Kurt, if you want to come back and maybe you've talked to the hospital, maybe not, fine, have to go and proceed with the options we have, so thank you. I think it's very helpful.
Thank you, Commission.
Real quick, concerning the jail, did you look at any options for the possibilities of growth or expansion from the state inmate side? And
I didn't.
If we can grow that way without adding, Sheriff's Department, you probably know as well, without adding staff, are we maximizing that current input with what we're putting in there as well?
It's a really good question. I didn't do that analysis, but we have the baseline to do that.
Actually, if you look at all that, without a remodel or adding, where you gain with the jail is being able to watch over more inmates with not much more staff. When you add inmates and you have staff both, nothing happens. If you really want something to happen in the jail, you want to get more, if you add inmates and don't add any staff, you can gain some revenue specifically. If you add inmates and you add staff and you do capital, you really go the other way. If I'm wrong, you really go the other way, really.
Staff, and in terms of capital, you'd just have to figure out, well, how much capital are we talking, you know?
Yeah.
It's that ratio of how many more inmates do we get, how much more monthly revenue versus how much do we spend on debt service for the,
Adding inmates will make your margins look better.
Yes.
If you don't increase a bunch of staff and other costs.
Absolutely.
But when you increase other costs, then you got to run a whole new scenario.
Yes.
But right now, where we're setting, adding inmates will significantly make your margins look better.
State inmates,
If you don't
yes.
add any expense,
Well,
like everything else.
That's if we can without adding
Yeah.
staff.
But
That's-
don't we
that's
need
the
to make
question.
some improvements at the jail anyway?
Sheriff Jacobson. Yes, Commissioner, we need to fix some things, as we have for several years. And that number's aged now, so we're going to have to re-examine architecturally how that would look as a remodel or as an upfit versus starting from scratch and building a new facility. And as far as the state inmate numbers go, there's a lot of factors involved in what numbers we can get, how many we can house. That isn't just a price point. There's a lot of features to that. So I appreciate being involved in any deeper discussions along those lines.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
Yeah, thanks, Cody.
Okay, let's jump back to the 1040. Update on Millard County economic development efforts. Abby. How are you doing, Abby?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Good. I just want to give an update on a couple things, and
Pull your
then,
mic close.
there we go. I didn't know I'd need to be that close. So a couple things. The Economic Assistance Grant for businesses and nonprofits started yesterday, September 1st, and runs through September 15th. I have sent this out, including a link in my newsletter to all communities, and contacted several businesses that I thought might be successful at this grant. And in fact, I'm currently helping a Millard County business apply for this grant. So hopefully we'll be successful at that. I was successful at helping a Millard County business with a Resilient Food Systems grant, and they were awarded $130,000 through the Department of Agriculture. And this will help them become more productive and grow additional crop varieties. So in the past 9 months, I've secured $730,000 in outside grant money for Millard County, just in the past 9 months. In regards to workforce development, recently met with Snow College and UAMPS, who is building a natural gas power plant outside of Holden. Needs will be for the plant that will be operational in 2029. He was impressed with the META board's commitment to education with their scholarship money that they put away every year for that. And talked about matching their grants with additional $20,000 to $40,000 for scholarships for that. So we were pleased with that commitment from them, and gladly accepted that money. We also spoke to UAMPS about sponsoring apprenticeship programs for Millard County residents, and although it hasn't been a formal program in the past, he was willing to look at that and maybe start something like that to help out at that when the station becomes operational. He also invited us to go look at their Payson plant and see how that is, take a tour of that. So I'll let you know when that happens if you want to go and check out that plant as well. So we can see how this new one will be kind of looking on that. So Also, we've been leveraging state contacts to get meetings with large energy corporations. In fact, there was one that was just announced last Thursday. Actually, I think it was Friday. They announced an MOU with the state of Utah, and so I sent out some texts to try and get a meeting with them. And so we have, Adam and I have a meeting today with site selectors to get Millard County on the board with that. So they met
What's
with...
that for, Abby? Tell me again.
It's with a nuclear energy company.
Okay.
And so they met with Salt Lake County last week, and then they're going to meet with us today. So it's an online company. It was just announced on LinkedIn that they got a group, and I'm...
Yeah, good luck putting it in Salt Lake County.
Well, that's what I thought too. I thought that was an odd thing, but it was fine because they, the gentleman who set up the...
Maybe Salt Lake City would take it.
It was interesting. So it was EDC Utah who helped bridge that gap for us, and y'all are members of that EDC Utah, so that is definitely benefiting Millard County, is having that connection there. So I sent them a text and said, do you know this company, and can you get me a meet with them? And so they set up the meeting with us. So we've got that going on later today. And then again, we continue to promote Millard County with state economic development partners, even when we're not being specifically asked to bid on sites. I just push my way in and say, I think Millard County would be a great place for this project. So we continue doing that and get recognized across the area. The Rural County Grant Report for fiscal year 2025 has been submitted and accepted by the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. The META Board has met and recommended to the commissioners their fiscal year 2026 for grant funds, and the recommendations are $40,000 for scholarships, $20,000 per the contract for our 6 regional council, $125,000 for small business grants, and $15,000 for workforce development education. And so we just need the commissioners to vote on this recommendation.
I believe we did that last.
We talked about it, but we need an official motion.
We need
I guess I
official.
will move. You've heard those figures before. If you got any questions, Mead has talked about them for a while. And basically, they can go back and change if they see something compelling, but right now that's what their efforts are, and you've heard, so I would move that we accept that.
Real quick before we make a motion on that, have we looked into bigger projects that benefit a whole, whether it's, and I'll speak just the agriculture section. Is there something we can do that not one individual farmer is going to come and apply for, but maybe as a board, we can get with those in the agriculture community and say, hey, we could use and spend all of our money on this, and it would benefit most every farmer in that area, and maybe even on the east side. Have we looked into projects that do that instead of doing a bunch of individual things, doing something that is maybe a little bit bigger, that still does benefit a bunch of people?
I personally haven't looked into any bigger projects. I was just hired a couple of months ago to do this, and so I take my recommendations from what the media board is interested in. I mean, it's something we can definitely look at. They do have funds from past years that we haven't used. Funds have to be used up that year, so we have to use up the $200,000 every year.
That's what they say, but we have a big bank account that says, no, you don't have to use it every year. Now they're starting to get after us, but...
It has been used inappropriately in the past, to be saved up. It's not supposed to be done that way at all.
No.
And so, going forward, we will be using it up every year.
But that's just my question, is if stuff like that has been presented, because we just kind of keep just dabbling in little things here and there, and I'm curious as to see if there's something we can do community-wide, that benefits everybody and stuff.
Go ahead, Vicki, and then
I've also wondered about using it more for infrastructure, maybe helping some of the towns or whatever, so that we can promote businesses, but use it for infrastructure so that they can afford to And this way, it doesn't help just one person either, or one business. If we could do more, it would make it so in the future, other businesses could use that infrastructure or something, and maybe have the towns, cities, whatever you want to call them, be able to use it to help with their infrastructure so that businesses are more able to do what they need to do and afford to survive.
I understand. Using these funds for infrastructure is very tricky, and it's part of we had training with the META board in June, I believe. Or was it July? But we had the GOEO head of grants, James Dixon, he came down and specifically did training. And part of it was an example of using funds towards infrastructure. And they're very clear on how you can use it for economic development. And he used an example of water infrastructure way of using the money. So you can use it to develop like an industrial park. If you wanted to use the grant funds to develop an industrial park, but you cannot use the funds to connect to the industrial park. But if it's in the industrial park, that would be fine.
So what if you need, let's say, a larger pump to service the new industrial park because your current pumps do not supply the city and the industrial park at the same time unless you increase the size of that pump?
So
is that something that's possible?
Depending on if you would have residential use of that pump as well.
Well, that you would, that's the question. So if the city needs, so Fillmore City, for example, I don't know if Fillmore City needs this, but for example, if Fillmore City wants to put an industrial park, but now they need a 500 horsepower pump instead of a 400 horsepower pump, but that 400 horsepower pump is supplying their residential needs, but to be able to supply the industrial park plus residential, now they need a 500. Now you're going to tell them they can't do, they put in a separate pump?
Correct. It would not be an appropriate use of it. And that was a specific example given, that it was both, and that is, and I could forward you the slides, but that was one of the specific examples given that, even though it was both business and residential use, that it would be inappropriate use of it. They really want it specifically for economic development. Now we can.
But Fillmore City can't grow economically unless they have a bigger pump.
But for instance, so we did a grant for them last year for power to extend, because they needed power. They were having to turn away businesses because they didn't have enough power for it. So we were able to get a grant for them, but the power went specifically to an industrial park. So we extended the power line from the cheese plant under the interstate, and it was to an industrial park. So it didn't, go to housing and stuff like that. It went specifically to that. And that's why we made the case and were able to get the grant money for it, because it went specifically to an industrial park. Most of
the county employees know me in here, and I think something like that is a little ridiculous. And I know it's not you. I know it's not you.
I know.
But when you can't do stuff that might be needed, even though it benefits everybody, but it is for economic growth, I think is a little ridiculous.
And I understand that, it's, having a background in housing, I understand that, housing, affects workforce development and that kind of thing. It is what it is, and we try and make the case known to the state as much as we can, but also work with what we're giving. And so instead of fighting against it, I work with what I'm given and try and make things happen. There are things that we could do to help the smaller towns on the east side, to help them get their towns known. There's several that sit on rail and that have some industrial parks that I think would be great to try and market them and get some word out. That might be really helpful to start getting those areas noticed and get some businesses in there, especially I'm sure the land would be a lot cheaper and closer to I-15. So I think it'd be great to do some of that stuff. We do have some of this money that we have to get rid of in the next year. That would be great to earmark some of that. I believe I've put that out to the board members saying, we can put some of this money towards that, getting some of that out there. Unfortunately, we just can't use it for anything other than economic development, so.
I just want to see it help as many people as possible instead of just picking individuals, winners and losers.
Right, and I understand, and I think we're trying as a board, really working on trying to get the word out to as many people as we can and trying to look at how many different things we can do differently. I've given a lot of options to them as ideas of things that we can do, especially as far as like workforce development and ideas of everything else, not just business grants. But I think, you know, not a lot of ideas have been given in the past. And so I'm taking things that we've been done. I do work with 3 other economic boards. And so I think there's been things that have been done in other places that we can certainly take over here. In Paiute County, they're doing something really different. We've hired a videographer to come into the businesses, and we've been able to do some grants for the businesses so they get really high-quality HD videos and 1 year's worth of social media advertising, and it's been really fun to see that happen because a lot of them don't have the experience, 1, with social media advertising, and 2, with producing any kind of video at all. And they have ownership of the video, plus the social media advertiser has ownership of the video. So they've been able to go on there and post those videos and then draw, because Paiute County is mostly a tourism area, so they've been able to post those videos and also get the numbers of what the traffic has been on there. And so now we can actually teach a lot of these business owners how to do this, how you're going to go about doing this, and then also pairing it with some OHV videos for tourism for the county. So we're doing like this whole kind of plan for how to get people into the area and then what you do when they come into the area. What's some other things we can do as far as like live music, some other business ideas. Somebody started a get out game, you know, along with their hotel. So it's something else that they can do while they're in town. So we try some other fun things that are different and maybe haven't been thought of before. In Sanpete County, we put some of our money into new logo, new branding, and website. And it helps because of a lot of the businesses that come in use site selectors, they do all their research online before they even actually make phone calls and come to us. So we wanted to have a really great website that had a lot of information on there, including locations. So if like a lot of these cities that are on the rail that maybe have an industrial park that hasn't been used, I believe it's Hinckley has got one of those, and they got a grant to try and develop theirs. We could put pictures, videography online, and with contact information for business owners, that kind of thing, so they can actually go on there and look at all that information ahead of time. GIS maps, anything we can get out there ahead of time so site selectors can go on there and get their own information out ahead of time. There's a lot of stuff we could do to help the little towns and stuff like that, along with, you know, these small business grants as well. What we do as far as small business grants in some of the other towns is like $20,000 max, a 50-50 reimbursable grant. So if they spend $40,000, we give them $20,000 back after they supply us with receipts. So we do some things like that. We've done airport stuff as well. So there's a lot of other options. Some of the other counties have even done things where they help with drug rehabilitation. That's been proven a success to help as well. So there's a lot of ideas we can do too. So I'm willing to help and listen to anything, and we can change things up as well. So.
Just a comment from yours. Yes, infrastructure is probably the thing we can do to get a bang. There's 2 things out of what we're doing, and of course you understand some of the other stuff. One is infrastructure. Infrastructure takes a lot of money. To Commissioner Johnson's, at least comments or concern. Remember, if we find projects that really have a benefit, we are not. The problem, well, not the problem, this grant is $200,000. If we find projects that is something we really need, we aren't prohibited from putting some of our county money with that. I mean, we could put another couple $100,000 or what we want to do towards some of these projects if we want to do that. You know, sometimes we have some savings, sometimes we don't, but we're not prohibited from doing that if we think it's a worthwhile project. I think what we're doing here is trying to expand and search for those projects. My opinion is infrastructure, and our money really goes the farthest with scholarships. You know, we're talking about thousands of dollars. We can put $500 or $600 toward a scholarship, and we can produce technical certifications for students with just that we've worked with Snow College and we're still working with them a lot. We're in the process right now of exploring and getting a good list of what trades do we really need. We can't do them all. And I talked to Jay Olson last week, and we're gonna come up with a list and find what we can do so we're not duplicating in that. But that's a really good way to spend your money. You get a lot out of it, and the scholarship don't cost that very much compared to what you might return. And we do that anticipating of the need for those people who have those in the future. You know, we talk about this a lot.
I know a lot of people.
Maybe not there yet, but we're, at least I think we got a great anticipation of, there's gonna be some things, and, you know, with our, I think, at least my goal is that the majority of those jobs are filled by people in the county. And if we can get 80 or 90% of those new jobs filled by people in the county, that's a real benefit we have. It's not building, doing a business, and bringing a bunch of people from Alabama. That don't help us near as much.
And I
so we
think
need to fill these. And those jobs will need technical skills. Just like these data centers. You know, everybody asks about the water. They're not cooling them with water. Probably one of the things you'll need most in a data center is several people that can fix HVAC, that have skills and stuff like that. And we don't have them right now, but we need to be progressive enough and have enough foresight. We can develop that. I think that's a good benefit for the counties. But back to, we're not prohibited, us as a county. I mean, there isn't this hard line at 200,000. We're not prohibited from stopping there if we see something that's worth doing, so.
Whenever we have a business that comes to the area, even if it's several years out, we usually meet with them ahead of time, just like we did with UAMPS, and ask them what the forecast is for jobs, what type of jobs they're looking at. And sometimes we're surprised. We were surprised when we talked to the people with the data centers on what kind of jobs they were looking at. We were thinking it was going to be a lot of IT jobs, and they said they really outsourced those across the country.
It's not. It's basically maintenance job.
It was maintenance and security. They were looking for security and construction, and it was a surprise. So that's why we sit down and we meet with them and say, what kind of jobs are you thinking? What is the salary range, and how many jobs are you expecting? So we try and be as prepared as we possibly can when it comes to this. And
the data centers have a tremendous amount of security. It's a great second job for a retired sheriff, the data centers, because most of those have 3 or 4 or 5 security people that'll be there consistently. And we have retired sheriffs in that's already been trained.
the best thing you could do is invest in businesses that already exist here and help them succeed, because it is hard, especially in rural Utah, to get in here, especially in areas that are not accessed by rail, because most of the requests for information that I'm seeing, especially, I received 2 on Friday, and they were both for 500 jobs, and they wanted easy access to the freeway or rail. And so it would be hard to put, Fillmore would be, or Scipio would be one of the only places that would have something like that, but you can't stick a manufacturing company there and expect to have 500 residents work there. So you get easily passed up for something like that. So investing in existing businesses to expand is something that you really should look at doing. So education, ways to get information out. I've had a lot of experience in chambers of commerce, the Sanpete County Chamber of Commerce start. So I have a lot of experience with that. I sit on the board of the Rural Utah Chamber Coalition, and we see a difference that really good chambers of commerce make in an area, not just with helping businesses succeed, but it's also with workforce training and getting information out. There's so many grants out there, like the EAG grant. We're finding that if you have a successful chamber of business, you have successful businesses. They're more prepared, they're better run, and they're also more successful at grants. They hold grant writing classes for their for their businesses. They network better together, so they're using each other. Instead of using Amazon for packages or getting things shipped, they're starting to use each other, even though they have to pay a little bit more. They're willing to do that to help each other out. So they get to know each other better and then help each other out. So it creates more of a sense of community. So I think chambers of commerce are very good to invest in, so. We're trying to create one down in Fillmore. We're working hard on doing that, so.
Okay, so what do we need to,
Do we need an approval for the,
We need a motion for,
I will move that we approve the media committee on their division of where they want to put their resources
for
for.
fiscal year
the next year.
2026, yeah.
But if we,
Sure.
We just, if you don't want something, so like with the small business grants, like if you don't want something done, we need to know now, because I would start doing the small business grants right away, because you essentially need to be done by March to start doing everything, start turning in, because I start turning in, like, the reports where things happen in May. So
I really like infrastructure, but it sounds like they've really restricted how you can do it, which is too bad.
No, there's still ways you can do it, and what you, Commissioner Lyman, is we can't use the money for something that's not appropriate, but we can change the dollar figures. I mean, if we find an infrastructure project that qualifies, we could use all 200,000. I mean, that's what I mean where it could be amended.
Okay.
We got $15,000 for scholarships. We could amend it, they could amend it and take more, but you're not going to be able to change the statute, what it's used for.
I guess I just need to.
Just a point of information or concern, you're talking about media board stuff and your media leadership isn't here.
Yeah.
Media leadership should be here for this conversation. I know we're talking more than that, we're talking economic growth, but you're talking about the media stuff. Mr. Wright's on it, I'm on it, I'm not leadership, but your leadership isn't here, and it should be. Before you make these decisions, you should have the leadership here.
So Dennis, though, is this what you guys all agreed upon?
We talked about it, yeah.
It was voted upon at the meeting.
But still, if it's a presentation by the META board president should be here or let you know that he has sent someone in his place. Has he done that?
So, yes, I said that I would take this to the commissioner meeting and get it approved.
If this is what the META board has agreed upon for right now, and this is what we want, then I'll second it, but.
and I, just so it's, I do oppose it because I want to see maybe bigger things out there. I'm not sold on, this sounds bad, but I'm not sold on the education because I still think most of those people will go away, take that somewhere else, and it doesn't economically benefit Millard County. So I would like to find something that I know will directly benefit us. And I want the META board to create something, not go out and find. That might sound odd or strange, but hopefully you get my point, that I want them to create a project or create something that benefits benefits the community in general or in whole, so.
When do you guys have to have this turned in, though? That's the thing that I'm worried about.
So we can amend it, and so now, I think, I sent out an email just asking to meet together, just to find out what it is, and I think that's what we could do. So I think we'll just put a hold on spending the money. So what we could do is we can amend it. So maybe if we approve as is, and then, or hold on.
I just don't know what the deadlines are for when we have to have everything.
September 1st.
September 1st? So yesterday?
Yes. We can amend it and not spend it. I just, if you wanted to change it, I just need to know before I spend it. So it can be changed. This is the NEDA Board's recommendation, what they've done, so this is essentially what they did last year, is the scholarships, what they want to do with the small business grants. And so they did spend that money on scholarships. So they had talked about what they wanted to do this year and had a discussion, and this is what the recommendations they wanted to bring to the board, commissioners.
Well, I will say one thing, you know, we had this discussion last year, like, nobody knows about this. We made an effort, there's been articles in the paper. The mead board can't create something out of nothing. There is nobody, any project, anything that has been prohibited from them. They basically have on the table what's people's bringing. I mean, they don't have the ability to go out and make a new city or something like that. The mead board has been very open, and we've advertised it, we've talked about it. They only have...
But do they have to wait for people to come to them, Bill?
Well, I don't know.
Can they go to the agriculture section? They know who, you go to the Swallows, the Carlings over here, Nichols,
So what-
Bunkers.
I
You can
just
get
give
with
me an
enough
idea
farmers to
what
be
we
like,
could do to
hey,
help everybody. I think to put our money to help the state and grow government is not a good place to put the money. We have to go back in our own projects. I mean, we could throw all that money to help the state take our water away. What does that really do? I don't know what you could do to help every agriculture project in the state, in the county. I'd see, this is what I say. I mean, I think the ideas are great. There's just nothing on the table right now. We have people on that MEDA board that's involved in agriculture.
yeah.
You know, Colin is, and who else? I don't know. We have people involved in the cities, we have people involved in county, we have people involved in businesses. We have a great representation on that county, on that MEDA board, but I don't know how they can develop a project that's not there.
We've done cloud seeding before.
The state does a bunch of that, so.
I know,
So do you
that's
have
okay, I
an
could
idea,
be going.
Trevor? Tell me what, do you have an
Well-
idea what you?
And we could do that,
what
because
you're
we do have that
thinking?
other money that we have.
Let's talk
We
about
need
that.
a way to export our grain better, if you're talking agriculture.
Export what?
Export our grain.
So what would we
Colossians.
do to do that?
Isn't Six County
Who
working
would
on
we,
that though?
who would we?
No, they may or may not. Theirs is more the slaughterhouse, but.
So I asked that
it-
question to somebody last week, what you doing with grain? 5 years ago, they used to have to haul their grain to Ogden. They do not now. They can haul it to the Ag Center here and put it on the train. So that, without anything, that's made a huge improvement. 5 years ago, there wasn't one place that would take grain 5 years ago. That's changed with Ag Center, and I was asking a farmer that does a lot of wheat. He says, yeah, I just haul it there now. So
The pig farm was around 5 years ago,
What
so
could
it had
we-
somewhere to go.
what
with
could
it.
we do to enhance that? I mean, I'm all for those ideas.
Just something next to a rail,
The-
and you ship it back to the Midwest, just options.
So the agri park is focused on all sorts of things. It's not just slaughterhouses.
Yeah, I know, but they haven't brought up exporting wheat and things
So
of that nature.
we don't bring up specifically one kind of thing over another, but we have been after anything that has been food processing, and in fact, we got an RFI that was something similar to that, and I brought it up as possibly putting it next to it, because they needed a lot of acreage, and they just needed to be away from dairy farms, and so I brought it up specifically, could we put it next to the agri park? Would there be some land that would be large enough?
Yeah.
You know, us like, because I know Agri Park is smaller, but I think they need like 200 acres, and I said, is there a spot next to Agri Park that we could put it, that would work, because it didn't need to be next to rail, but, you know, it needed to be next to the interstate, so but that would be like, and I want to say it was like a grain, like a cereal manufacturer or something like that. So we go after anything that has to do with food or that supports food. So if it was even a pallet manufacturer, that would be considered for the agri park, because it supports anything that would have to do with that. So It's not just slaughterhouses or anything like that. It is anything that has to do with food manufacturing.
Yeah, I know, I understand that part of it, so, but we got other things to get done, so let's.
We do have the other money that we can do, you know, this 400,000 that we have to do with, we can do something specifically we can look at. If
And
you
and
want-
I'm not just speaking agriculture, I think there's ways to benefit the community, and we need to find that as a board. We need to maybe stop waiting for people to come in and find us, because clearly that's not working. That was one of the heartaches when we gave out the first one, is nobody knew about it. They still don't know about it, so maybe we need to do a better job of creating something on our own. And I'm not talking government, Bill, that's the last thing I'm wanting to do, is for Millard County to take control of this. But.
Well, that's what we're trying to get away from.
If we can create a co-op or get a bunch of people together to do that, that's what I'm talking about. Hand it off to somebody, but the meter board might have to go out and find what's needed, and stop waiting for people to come find them, because clearly that isn't working.
So,
But I want to move on.
We're looking for what do we do?
Bill, are you going to make a motion? Because we just keep going in a circle, and I hate circles.
I understand.
No, my motion would be that we accept, we can not do the grant and get rid of meter board, that's fine with me. I mean, the motion is that we support the grant for the $200,000 that's been put to the state. Now, this isn't something we have to do. Hey, we can say we don't want the $200,000 grant and not get it. I'm fine there.
I think there just needs to be a larger conversation about what my role is as Economic Development Director, because I think that would help you and what you're thinking. And then everyone look at what my role is, what your expectations of me and in everything.
Well, this is a board expectation, not just an individual.
And I understand that,
thing,
but, you know, a lot of that is the board and everything. So I think it would help to get everybody together and just figure out what it is. So
Okay.
I think it would be really great to have everybody together and just find out, because there's a lot of
We
confusion.
hear about it here, but I think it'd be good at the next meeting, they invite all the commissioners, give the
But we
commissioners
can't go there,
five.
they can come here.
If it's a public meeting.
Well,
But
that
we have
meter
to
board's
post
a public
it.
meeting, isn't that a
It's
public meeting?
posted.
You would just have to notice it as well.
Just
if a
notice
quorum
it,
of you are
and the
attending.
commissioners come and explain what their expectations is, let the board function, but
It's supposed to
if they
be
don't know the
recorded.
expectations, then you need to express what you're expressing here to the board. And, you know, I hear it and take it back. Jacob advises that board. Adam's not here, but he's on that board. So that would probably be a good process to express what you've expressed and see. And like I say, we cannot take the grant. All this is we kind of got off in the weeds here, and we can do that. That should be taken up with the board. All this is approval that right now we're trying to develop a process in our county where we approve or disapprove the grant. So let's go back to the very beginning. We either approve that we proceed the grant. I don't think we're approving anything in the grant and what she would be doing for it. We're basically, if we want the grant, we approve Abby and the board to apply for it. If we don't want it, then we just deny it.
So it still has to come to us at the end of the day.
Well, yeah,
Right?
I'm sorry, what?
All of it still has to come to us at the end of the day.
So normally, how I've run my board, so I run 3 other boards, and normally I just come and do the normal thing, and then I do each individual thing. So like if we do business grants, we have an open and closed period, and then the board reviews those.
Well, I just want to make sure that, okay, if we do approve what you're recommending, it still hasn't gone out and spent, because now the meter goes back
If I
and
could,
says, oh,
if I could tell you
they
my
approved it.
normal process, which might be from what's done before in the past.
Let's do this all in another meeting. Well, let's.
Okay,
let's-
I was just thinking,
Yeah.
so normally when I do, like, I get this approved, and then each process would be approved by you as well. So winners of the grants would be approved by you, winners of scholarships would be approved by you. But I don't think it's been done that way before in the past, so, but that's how I would prefer to run it, that way.
We've awarded one that came to us, and then the education thing with the truck driving, that was done
Yeah.
within the
I
meeting.
think the grants have just been done by the board.
If we decide we want to do something for scholarships, Like we've given out 8 or 10 scholarships. We don't want all those scholarships and the name of those to come back here. Let the Beta Board award the scholarships. You've appropriated the money within the $200,000. Let them award the scholarships. I mean, I think we need to be top level and we don't, because we don't want to discuss the scholarships and every little thing that we do there. I mean, that's what the board is for.
I'll second that we apply for the grant.
Okay.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed? No?
you.
Me. Okay. Does that cover both of your agenda items?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Cemetery districts. Would you guys like to come up? I'll just have both of you come up at the same time. Yeah, other business.
Probably other business.
Other business, this would be other business.
This is other business?
Yeah,
Or is it public?
it's other business.
Okay.
This is other business. Yes, you can hand us whatever you'd like.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you guys waiting.
That's fine.
It's okay. It's worth it.
Interesting.
I don't know, I have one more. Yes.
That's fine.
Then you guys just want us to both state your names and who you're each representing in the mic, so it's on the record?
Yeah. Christina Stanworth. I am the chair for the Delta Sutherland Oasis Cemetery Maintenance District in Delta.
Mike Anderson, Hinkley Deseret District.
Okay. Just a little background before Christina and Mike get started. So we had a meeting a week ago, about a week ago, discussing potential to annex the Deseret Hinkley Cemetery District, and asked them just to come up with a solution on possibly how to make this work. And part of that is going through the truth and taxation process. And so that's a little bit about what they're here for today. So if you want to expound on any of it or share what you've got or found.
So we met after to discuss the annexation process and make our decision. So our board did meet. We did decide to move forward with the annexation. With that, we knew, based upon our budgets and everything, how we run our district, that it wouldn't be just as simple as just annexing them in, that there would be a monetary situation in that. So we have a committee that's going through that information. That's part of that spreadsheet that I gave you guys, is kind of a diagram of how we run, how our budget is, and if we annex them in, what it's going to do affect our budget. So we just want to make sure that we run smooth, we're able to create a better situation for not just us, you know, because we've done very well, but to help them. But if we bring them in, as you notice in there, that it would decrease us by 74% and increase them by 214%. So we have a shortfall of about $50,000.
And that's to operate Deseret and Hinkley the same as Delta, Sutherland, and Oasis are operating currently. So that's just, the increase is to allow Deseret and Hinkley to be managed the same way that the other cemetery districts are. That's why they're wanting to do this increase.
That's correct. It'll change in the future. This is just that moment between, because it's going to take some time. It doesn't happen overnight. All of the process that go through, it's not going to happen today or tomorrow. Plus, we would have to budget. We'd have to do some finagling for next year to be able to have them be able to do the things that they want to do, that they should be able to do. And the only way that we could see possible is if we do the truth in taxation. It would be a little bit of a increase for taxpayers, not significantly. If you take the division and spread it across, of course, we would have to decide who's gonna do what, how much is it gonna be on this side, how much is it gonna be on the other side. And I know that that's gonna be a talking point that might take a minute. I'm not even sure how this goes when it happens, but if we didn't do it now, then we're looking at years.
Yeah.
So we've got to do something, or we're going to have, I feel like it's not going to be the greatest situation monetarily.
So, right, you can either do truth and taxation now with both of you, and then work on the annexation thing, and then do truth and taxation, but that process is at least 2 years out. This is allowing it to take effect immediately while working on the annexation process, because they could do that first, but that puts the whole thing budget-wise out a couple years to get where they need to, and they'll still go through truth and taxation. This will keep them from, this allows them to still go through truth and taxation one time, but when they get annexed in and things are taken over, they don't have to do the truth and taxation process at that point either.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm wondering if you don't annex and you do truth and taxation separately, you're gonna have different amounts. When you annex, it's gonna change that again. You might have to do truth and taxation again. So I'm not sure.
Because and Bonnie, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but, so what they do is they'll combine the budgets of the two, and that becomes their budget.
It'll remain the same.
It remains the same.
Okay.
So we don't know yet, though, since we're going to annex in brush and IPP and ACES, all that out there, that's definitely going to increase their budget. We don't know how much.
No, that doesn't increase a budget, because if that happens.
It'll increase their revenue.
That's a long ways. That's a couple years down the road, but for right now, even if you did bring them in, your budget stays the same, they just pay.
But the revenue goes up.
No, the revenue doesn't go up. The revenue stays the same. If their budget is 138,000, no, final, but 187,760, their budget remains 187,760. It's just those industries pay a portion, more of a portion of that.
The formula is based on the value, so if you annexed those in, the last year's revenue, they're guaranteed the same amount, and so that's in the formula, so you take the
If
revenue.
you annex them, the rate will go down.
Yeah,
the rate goes down.
So we've got to increase the budget when,
So, because they
So-
need more funding. bottom
Okay.
line.
Bonnie, is their rates the same right now?
The rates are very close.
Okay, close, but they're not.
Deseret's is slightly more. So the issue is, so to operate Deseret and Hinckley the same way that the other district is operating, they need to increase their budget $50,000, which would put them at about $75,000. Matt Eliason was in here a month ago explaining his budget. If they maxed out their rate to what the state allows them to, they'll still only collect $59,000, which still wouldn't put them on pace to be able to operate at the same as the other cemetery district. Even though they're completely maxed out, they won't be able to collect any more money unless more people happen to move in, but they would be maxed out, and that's one of the issues that the Deseret district is facing, is they just don't have the growth that Delta has had over the last 50, 60 years since these districts were created just after World War II.
That's the key right there. You know, everybody's transferred to Delta, that's where the hub is. You know, after World War II, it wasn't like that. I mean, every town had their little stores, their this or that, their schools and everything, and over a period of time that changed. And our taxable people or families has went down dramatically for Hinckley and Deseret.
Christina's had someone kind of, that understands the Delta budget very well. He did a calculation of how much those Deseret Hinckley cemeteries would need, and that's where this number comes from, that 187,760. So if they both increase their budget this year through truth and taxation, when they combine, those budgets combine, and they've already factored in what they need to operate, and that's why they wouldn't have to go through truth and taxation again.
And then it would just move more smoothly after that. And like I said, the taxpayers in this moment would have maybe a little more of an increase, which is not, if, like I said, the division, it would make it so then it's not as. But once we combine, then that goes down, because then it's gonna go across the board instead of just here and here. But we have to still make that happen. We've got to be able to make that transition cohesive. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into a district. Every one of us knows we have to do to make sure that we're going to keep these things running very smoothly. And unfortunately, the Deseret Hinckley Cemetery District has had a miss on that, because they have not had the money to be able to operate as they should, relying a whole bunch on support from volunteers, not being able to entice their sextants, or they don't have enough money. But to bring them into our district, if we don't have the ability to increase the taxes, then we're all going to be in the same boat. So therefore, maybe our sexton will quit because we won't be able to pay her or him. Or what if we have to combine people who are taking care of them? I mean, it's a lot of work. Not everybody can take care of 4 cemeteries. And we'll be taking care of 5.
So do you know how much you want to split up that 50,000 between the two
That's
for the truth and taxation process?
I think that we need just a tiny bit more help on, I don't know if Bonnie would be able to give us a little more insight on what's going to be more, because I don't want to heavily tax
Our constituents.
Yes, their district people above our people, and I don't.
So back to my point, you need to make sure, I don't know what enough is, you get enough, because you can lower taxes without truth and taxation.
Yes.
If you set 2 rates, if you set 2 rates, and then you annex together, if one of those rates has to go up, you'll have to go through truth and taxation again. You can come down, so just get them high enough that they're gonna, the assumption is they're gonna come down, but if you didn't get the right rate, and one of them did go up, you're gonna have to go through truth and taxation twice, which you don't wanna do that.
Yeah, and that's
Okay,
what
that
we
was
want.
my
Yes, that's
point.
what we
We're
want.
assuming that when we combine them, they won't, and so you can lower the rates at any point. Okay.
And that's what we would. also
Yeah, because
like
we don't
to
want,
see.
you don't want to go through it twice. It's
No.
miserable. It's going to be miserable for you.
So,
Not for us.
We'll help you however we can.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll support you how we can.
is that something we can figure out, Bonnie,
Yeah.
is to figure out where they need to be at rate-wise, so when they do come together, maybe that's not a concern
If you
either?
have a what you need, we can back into it and then we can come up with a rate.
So, and that's, they want the $50,000 combined, so however that works to increase Christina's budget $25,000 and Mike's budget $25,000 to equal 50, but maybe one of them's 35 and one of them's 15 or whatever. So, but it's 50,000 is what they're wanting to increase.
You guys
both
want
budgets.
to pretty much tax all of the people evenly, right?
Well, and to make it so then when we do, when
And then-
annexation does happen and
Happens,
we
yeah.
become one, that we don't have to do truth and
Yeah,
taxation.
you don't have to do that.
We want to make it so then when it is combined, I know that we are annexing them into our district, so I'm assuming without the knowledge that I know we're gonna get, is that we're going to have have our rates so that we
Bonnie, do
don't
they have time to do that by this coming election this fall?
For the truth and taxation, yes.
Okay. 'Cause
That's
you
what
don't want to be
we're
waiting the whole
hoping for.
year again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to get on it.
What's the next step? Or can we just have them get with you, Bonnie, after or later? Or?
Yeah, we can get together October 1st, so we have 30 days to do a few things.
Okay, good.
Okay. So I'll have you stay in touch with Bonnie. Does that work with you? Okay. If that works with you.
Is there anything else we need to do to help you guys?
This is brand new. So, right now, we don't really know the total ins and outs of, I know that if we do have the question, that we will definitely reach out. I know we do need to have a legal document to move forward for the annexation on that, and I'm just waiting to see if that is something that is possibly helped with the county attorney.
Okay.
So if not, then we will find other means.
Okay. I think the biggest focus right now would get the truth and taxation process done because we got a month to do that. And then that annexation thing, it doesn't matter if it takes till the end of the year or halfway through next year.
It's the truth and taxation.
Yeah, that we need to get done and then we can work on that other part. So, but do we need to make a motion that we're okay with this, Bonnie, or is this kind of, Elise, I don't know, or is this just they kind of present it and?
I think the purpose in them coming here is so that they don't go through all of this work, and then at the end of the day, there's a problem with it. So I think having this discussion on the record and seeing that the county legislative body is supportive of it should be enough. I don't know if there needs to be.
Because we have the final say in it when it's all done, right? Is that correct? So. Okay, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm in too.
How are you feeling about it? Bill's good? Okay. All right. Call us with any questions. Elise and
Bonnie
Bonnie
will
will
be
be able to
able to
answer
help you.
most of them.
Bonnie's a whiz with numbers, or I should say Auditor Smith.
Yes.
And then let us know if you need any other help with anything. Public notices, Marquee, might be some questions there, just so you know. Just public notices, getting them out or whatever. It doesn't need to be on the ballot.
I was going to say, there's not enough time for it, to be honest.
No, this doesn't need to be on the ballot.
Yeah,
But if they have to send out public notices within their district, they might need some guidance or help.
Okay, thank you.
if Elise helps with the language, I'll be happy to post.
The language is in the statute, all we have to do is fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy.
Yeah, and that, I guess that was one of the other questions, because I did send that in the email. We were unsure on that portion. We knew that there had to be something, so that if that, we needed to send out a notice, the process and all of that, so.
I believe because it's an entity on its own, it will be required to do this, right? We could
Like, are you talking about the costs for mailing notice out?
No, sorry, maybe I misunderstood what you said. What did you say?
So, because we need to send out notice that we are doing, right, the truth and taxation.
Yeah.
You have
That,
to have a hearing, right, but it don't need to be on the ballot.
No,
No.
But you have to have a public hearing.
yes.
Okay.
That's what you need to get noticed.
but we don't have to do a mailer to every person.
Yeah, so it says the notice shall be mailed to each owner of property within the calendar year taxing entity and listed on the assessment roll. So it goes to each of the property owners, which is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do they have to address them, or is there some way we can do that?
Well, I think Marquee,
I am sending the notice, but we can help you, let the public know on our website.
That we've done, it's the mailer.
Is there-
We have to physically mail out a mail type form
To everybody?
to every
Wow.
individual.
is there, do we have the software where you basically just click on a district and it
print them and addresses them.
Print an address, any of that stuff?
That would be in-
Actually, Adam might have that,
That-
because Adam has, when they do a rezoning, he can pull up everybody close there, so you, I mean, they might, or GPS are
It would be
able to be helpful.
It would be in the tax administration system. I mean, we send out all the NOVs. My office can help with this. It's a parcel-specific notice for the tax rate increase. We can help with it.
Okay. Okay.
That's a lot of notices.
Maybe that's the last of my questions.
Okay. I think that is, I'm with you, I think that might be the biggest concern right now is how to get each of those. So Bonnie, if you can help with that as well.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All
Okay.
right. Well, we appreciate your time.
We do.
Thank you. And if you have any questions for us, you can give us a phone call too.
Okay.
And we appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
Okay.
People like you are what make this community, or this county run and be able to fulfill all the needs we need. So we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Okay. We'll jump back to public input really fast. You're the public input or other business, I was assuming,
Public input.
but I don't know which one it fell under, so I wanted to go back to it first.
Thanks. Kurt Forsyth, Hospital President for Delta and Fillmore Community Hospitals. Just wanted to ask for some clarification on Cody's recommendations. The recommendations insinuate that the hospital has an obligation on the expense or the payments for the out-of-county transfers. And I'm initiating some conversation between Intermountain's legal team and the county's legal team to be able to get clarification on that, because what my understanding is that there is, the hospital or Intermountain altogether does not have the ability or the legal obligation to provide those kind of payments to the county for those services. So I'm curious if Cody, if you researched the law or the statutes regarding those specifics, and he's shaking his head no. So I'll help initiate that, and I'll have.
Your question is whether IHC can provide payment for interfacility transfers, is that your question?
My understanding is that we cannot. My question for Cody is, did his analysis include that? It sounds like that was out of scope for his consultation agreement. So I'm going to have Andrew and Maria communicate with you, and I forgot who your deputy attorney's name is.
Denton.
Denton, yes, communicate with the two of you directly to get clarification on the laws and statutes.
So
Real quick, because we've had enough conversations about this. I'm wondering if that is coming from, you can't provide payment on the 911 call because you can't pay us directly to guarantee us bring every patient to you.
So we don't have an ambulance license, and so we cannot pay for that. There's Stark laws, which are physician-related, and there's anti-kickback laws, which are all other things related. So this, I think, falls under the anti-kickback statutes, which doesn't allow us to pay for services that are already being rendered or under the obligation of, in this case, it's the county. The statute designates the responsibility to the cities, but that is transition to the county. So at this point, because the county operates the ambulance license, the county is obligated for both in-county and out-of-county transfers, is my understanding.
Oh, I know, but that's what I'm asking you, is that misunderstanding, though, possibly could be that you can't pay us for 911 to bring them to you, but possibly, why can't you pay us to take them from IHC to IHC?
Because the statute requires the city to provide that service. Which in this case is transferred to the county, because you already operate that.
I know, but that is to bring it to you originally.
No, it's both.
I think that's where the interpretation is up in the air, and I think that's Kurt's goal here is to, hey, what is the interpretation, right?
Because I think that's what we're interpreting is when we come pick them up at your hospital, you're telling me I can take them to wherever I want at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take them to Payson, you can take them to wherever. You don't have to take them to another Intermountain facility. That's our normal procedure. We try to keep them within the system, and partly because of the insurances. So we, as far as I know, we have a less than a 10% uninsured rate. So the numbers that I have don't seem to match with the analysis that Cody provided as far as the number of non-payments for those transfers. But yes, I think our legal teams need to get together, create what the understanding is based on the laws and the statutes that are in place. We're willing to do whatever we can, and I appreciate the analysis. I think it's very insightful and helpful, but I think that's really a key point that I recommend the commission doesn't make a decision on until that is satisfactorily understood on both sides.
Kurt, I would agree with you. I don't think you're obligated at all to support us, but I don't think we're obligated at all to do the transfers either. I mean, you had that discussion, and I thought so you're not obligated, but we're not obligated either. So, I mean, whether you want to voluntarily find some way through the system to help, then that's fine. I don't present this as an obligation. You do not, there's no question, you do not have to support us.
Right, but the recommendations.
But then we don't have to support you because we're not obligated to do transfers either.
See, my understanding is by statute, yes, you are obligated to provide those transfers out of the county. The recommendations by Cody said that you can charge the hospital whatever fixed rate or stop providing them at all. If you do stop providing them at all, again, this is my understanding from my legal counsel, is that if you do stop providing those, you are under the obligation to find someone else, like a Gold Cross or someone else, to do that. The hospital is not the default. It will not default to the hospital to provide those transfers.
Okay.
That is my understanding.
Yeah,
So,
Elise, will you look into that?
Well, did you say Maria was going to email us?
yeah, Maria is going to get in
That's not
contact
quite
with
how I read it, so I'd like to see where they're getting that.
you. Okay.
Yeah, that's the crux of the question, right? Is
Yes.
Who's obligated? And
Yeah.
that really is the fundamental question, is who's obligated?
Because I don't know how we can be obligated to carry somebody outside of Millard County.
Now, are you saying that's state law?
Statute.
He's looking at a federal statute that says you can't get rewarded for referring patients to a specific provider. But
No, that's
think-
part of it. There's a state statute, I think it took effect maybe 3 years ago, that said the city is responsible to provide those emergency services, both in county and out of county.
Well, it says in county for sure.
It does say in county for sure, and the out of county is my understanding. Again, this is explained to me, so I
Well,
don't
it
know for
says
sure.
The
for
but-
out of
statute
county.
says within our area, which is our county. The statute says within our area, we have to.
Territorial boundaries, right, is the verbiage?
Yep.
But if you hold the ambulance license, then you are obligated to provide all of the ambulance services. So if that is a service of the ambulance, which, again, you have the option to not provide that service, it sounds like, but what's been explained to me is that that is your obligation to find an entity or a business to do that. Not necessarily pay them, but you have to have that contract in place that allows them to do that part of the service that you're not wanting to provide.
Will you?
I have looked at this, and I
Okay.
have my opinion, so I'm going to wait to hear from IHC's counsel to see where they're coming from, because I don't think we're reading it the same, but, I mean, that's why we have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
To see where the other one's coming from.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay, any other public input or other business?
I've got other business, I guess. This District 8 needs a new board member / secretary, and I told them we probably need to advertise that for a couple of weeks. Is that correct? They have somebody that's willing to do it, but I said we probably need to advertise it, and I would check with you to make sure.
So it's a board member that will also be the secretary?
Yes.
If they, at least we'll have to.
Look
Yeah, I
and
can
see,
help.
do they bring recommendations to us, or do we bring recommendations to them?
It's just so, the point of advertising is just to get it out to the public, to give them, everyone a fair opportunity to go for it. But as we've seen here, 99 to 100% of the time, nobody responds to it, we have to go out and beg for anything. So just to follow the code.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Just have that person reach out to me and express interest.
Okay.
Look at their bylaws, if they already have a name,
I think they're like all the rest of
If
them.
they got a name, then just have them present the name to us. If we don't like it, we'll either approve it or
I think
just-
we have to advertise it first.
Yeah, you got to advertise it.
Okay.
And then nobody will apply except for this person. And
If nobody else applies, there's only one vacancy, then their name will be presented for postal approval. If more than one express interest, then we have to go to.
then the board will have to choose.
So is, what's her name, a member of the board? She's the secretary. What is her name?
Elise? Withers?
She moved, and so there's a vacancy.
Yeah, so Elise Withers, oh, yeah.
Melissa, yeah, Melissa
Have
Withers
they
moved.
moved?
Yeah, just her and the kids.
Just her, okay. So anyway, okay, so she's moved, so she's, but was she a board member or just a secretary?
She's both.
I didn't think she was a board member.
They told me she's
Yeah, she was both, we had
Okay,
that discussion
that's-
last time.
She could be, all right.
Okay, and then also, Brandon Wingett was wondering on, he knows he has to get 3 bids for like fuel. And he said they got 3 bids, and by the time the one company delivered it, they won't guarantee their price until they actually deliver it. That price had gone up, they were still a penny under the other bids, so they're okay. But what in the future do we do if they won't guarantee their price until they actually deliver it and the price changes?
Then they can't give a bid.
Just said,
I mean, if they're, what they're saying is we won't bid on it, we're just gonna charge you the.
they gave them
that
a
is.
price, but by the time they delivered it, they said that it had changed.
So,
The other ones bid
Well, I
on it.
think that's
and
part
then
of
they-
us need to be quicker if it's a gas or,
Yeah, did they give a deadline?
yeah, we've got to give a quicker deadline. Because you can't say, hey, we want to order your gas now because it's cheap, give us a bid, and then we wait 6 months and it's the middle of the summer and it's gone up 50 cents.
It was only like a week, but the other 2 will guarantee their bid.
Yeah.
But there's nobody else in the county, I guess, that will deliver to.
so they get quite a bit of volume. Could not they bid every tank, I mean, just get a price for every tanker load?
That's what they do.
Yeah, okay.
But
But it's a big
But
tank that
this
it's
is
got a
bad
lot.
tank.
it took this company several days to deliver it, and when they delivered it, they said the price had gone up.
Well, what you need to do is ask them closer to the time of delivery so they can meet the.
No, they wanted it as soon as they'd get it to them, but it just, they were slow delivering it.
Well, that's on the company
So
then.
they don't want to pay us or what?
They won't guarantee their bid until they actually deliver it.
So they haven't delivered it yet. We
They-
just have
They
numbers.
delivered it, and they were still a penny cheaper than the other lowest bid, so we are still okay, but Brandon's worried about in the future.
I think that is a concern. I think generally they'll give a price, then they'll give a deadline. I think if there's uncertainty about what the price will be when it eventually is delivered, I think perhaps he needs to pay attention to the other bids and consider those. Because that might end up being a lot more expensive, and then the county
Yeah.
gets blindsided.
He just says he's having a hard time getting 3 bids. He can get these 3, but
And they won't even do it for 30 days?
I don't know. I'll talk to him and
Is
see.
there, a state used to be on fuel, and the procurement code allows for comparison to the state contract. So, and that would help alleviate the 3 bids if you compare
So-
the state contract price, right?
Right, right.
So,
So as long as they're under state contract, they're good. Or
Yes, that is an
matching.
exception.
documenting it, but yeah.
Okay. And then one other thing, have we got a deal with the BLM for firefighting or the Forest Service to make sure that our road guys get paid?
We talked about this a little bit in executive. I need to get with Copeland to figure out how they're paying overtime, but they are supposed to be reimbursing us.
Okay.
They're supposed to be reimbursing us, aren't they?
I haven't seen any other some kind of incident agreement, but I haven't seen it. And they put it through some cooperative fire system.
Okay. All right,
Because
that's all I
we do
have.
get reimbursed for it, but I know the concern is, are they paying for overtime?
Yeah.
They reimburse just for overtime or total?
No, we don't know if they're reimbursing us for the overtime we pay as a county, because the check is still coming out of the road department's fund.
Yeah, it's coming out of the road department. But
So are they reimbursing, we know they're reimbursing us, but we don't know if they're reimbursing us for overtime that our guys are putting in as
I'll bet
well.
they just reimburse at a flat rate, a negotiated rate, and that's what they reimburse for, but, because that's generally how they always, those federal government contracts, or even state government contracts, they'll just negotiate a flat rate, and then that's what they reimburse at, whether it's straight time or overtime for other
Yes.
guys, they're not gonna change that, I don't think, but.
So we need to meet with Copeland to figure out that part.
I'll follow up with him right now.
Okay. Okay, any other business? Okay, approval for sale of transfer surplus properties.
Yeah. So as part of our vehicle program, our internal fleet program, we've assigned a vehicle to every office or department. And the intention behind that is that if an employee does need to go somewhere, travel for county business, they have a vehicle available for them. There have been incidences in the past where the employee couldn't use a personal vehicle for varied reasons, right? And so as part of that, we're going to assign also the maintenance cost, and we'll try to break that down by majority of use, right? It will be somewhat arbitrary, but we are going to assign maintenance costs to each of the departments who will have just to share that cost as well. If the majority of the vehicle is 75% used by one department, then the other department that shares it will obviously share 25% of that cost. But the intention behind that is that everybody has a vehicle that's assigned to them for their use, for their county use, so that they don't have to either look for a vehicle or not have a vehicle assigned and make their employees drive their own vehicles. And if they can't drive their own vehicles, what do? So we want to have that vehicle assigned to every department, and then also share the cost there. And so we just wanted to present that to you as part of our fleet management, internal fleet management, so that it was on record and get your approval that we're okay budget-wise to do that, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, I have some other non-vehicle surplus. So we just want the blessing to go ahead and surplus. This is a list of just monitors, office type stuff that we're collecting. We'll circulate the list, and if nobody wants it, then we'll be able to sell it.
So what do? Circulate it on the county website?
Yeah, we'll just circulate it by email and.
Then you put it on the state website,
Yep, if nobody wants it, then we'll put it on the website.
surplus?
Mm-hmm.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the list.
I make a motion that we approve the list for surplus.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, appointments to various county boards. Okay. Approval of application for settlement or deferral of delinquent property tax. Okay. Discussion by each commissioner, county attorney, elected official, and secretary.
Nothing from me.
Okay. Possible Board of Equalization discussion and/or action.
I make a motion that we go into BOE.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have just a few things to cover in BOE today. We have a few stipulations. The first one, obviously done an assessor's adjustment, but the assessor was able to get a stipulation on this previous assessor adjustment, so we just needed to ratify that. It is for the property owner Carrie and Susan Kessler on parcel F119. And then we have some stipulations for ones that there has been no action on them previously. The first one is for Curtis Peterson. This is an assessor adjusted adjustment. It's for parcel D-DUT-2. And the reason for the stipulation is Curtis Peterson submitted an appraisal report. Both Mr. Peterson and the assessor agree that the property should be valued at $679,000. The next stipulation is from Kevin and Julie Bogue for parcel D-VIS-2. The appellant turned in an appraisal report that was reviewed by the assessor's office. Both the appellant and the assessor agree that the house should be valued at $785,000. And the final stipulation is for Jordan Eliason, parcel D-NP-4. The appellant turned in an appraisal report that was reviewed by the assessor's office. Both the appellant and the assessor agree that the house should be valued at $617,000. We do like when there is a stipulation because the appellant agrees to waive their right to appeal to the State Tax Commission. So it's a fast way to come to an agreement. So we just need a motion to accept those stipulations.
I make a motion that we accept the 4 stipulations. Wasn't there 4?
Yes.
Three.
There were 4. One was
One's not on here.
an assessor, yeah, one's not on there because it was done previously. And
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then the list that I have given to you, the purple color-coded are assessor adjustments for various reasons that we need an approval to make the assessor adjustments that are recommended.
I move we accept the assessor adjustments.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So will these people, where there's been an adjustment made, are they going to still appeal?
They will receive a notice of determination, and they can still appeal that if they don't agree with the assessor adjustment. If they say, oh, it's not as much as I would like, they can still appeal.
Okay.
So, and that is listed on the notice of determination that is mailed to them, that they have the right to appeal that change.
These adjustments are not being made known through appeals, are they? All of them? Some of them are just in the office, or some of them appeals that you're looking at it?
Appeal initiated by the property owner?
Yes.
Because they're all appeals, some of them are just initiated by the assessor's office. So if the ones that are stipulated, two of those were initiated by the property owner.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 were initiated by the assessor's office. But to change the tax.
Same thing with the adjustments? Some of
Yeah,
they
the
can be
adjustments, they're assigned an appeal number. It's just initiated by the assessor's office.
Okay,
So
all
it
right.
still is considered an appeal.
both. Yes. Thank you.
So, okay, I will need signatures from all 3 of you on my copy of this, and then Trevor's signature on the stipulations.
Okay.
So, but that's everything for BOE.
Do we go out of BOE before we sign, or do we wait?
Little paperwork, huh? Yeah.
Cost of appraisals, all of this is the evidence they turned in.
Not a license handwriting unless you're in the family there, Vicki, because Jordan's is pretty good.
It's probably a digital signature.
Oh, well, it's pretty nice, so, but with
My
Vicki's.
parents had pretty good handwriting.
Okay, all right, I'll entertain a motion to go out of BOE.
I make a motion to go out of BOE.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, just a quick update, I just talked to Copeland. So volunteer firefighters are on a fixed rate. County employees are on a prorated true cost calculation. And so we, according to Copeland, we send in our salaries, and then they do a true cost of total wages and benefits. So I've asked him to send me what that true cost calculation breakdown is and equipment breakdown, and so he's going to send that over to me. So just an update on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, county policies and contracts. Okay. Closed meeting.
No.
Okay.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you for being patient, all of you people, and still being awake. That went longer than I thought it was going to.